Welcome to episode number 4 of the Sports Misfits. I'm your host, Michael Sifo. Here's my co-host, Annikan Kutiang. Annikan, how you doing?
I'm great. How are you today?
I'm doing well. Obviously, a very busy weekend for you and yours, as you were in Windsor.
Last week.
Last week you were in Windsor.
Up till Thursday.
Got refreshed, got rejuvenated, now you're back.
Revitalized,
re-energized.
Yep.
You were back. Also, you had Stephen A. Smith shout you on Twitter a bit.
Yeah. That was a good thing to see. He backed me up with the. Well, he understood where I was coming from with the Hakeem and Michael Jordan our debate from 2 weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, he still maintains Michael Jordan's the best, but
many people do.
But the reasoning, he agrees with the reasoning, because most people they kind of just like blindly follow. They don't have the insight that you or I would have.
Understandable.
They don't have that. Even Stephen A. didn't know all that stuff I said, so that was good.
Anyway, if you'd like to catch the Sports Misfits, you can catch us on Twitter at Sports Misfits. You can also catch us on SoundCloud, soundcloud.com/the-sports-misfits. Don't forget the. You can also catch us on iTunes. If you search up The Sports Misfits, we will be one of the first things there. Thanks to all the fans. Last week we had a really big turnout on the SoundCloud page. iTunes page also got a lot of popularity scores. Thank you for all of that.
Yes, thank you.
And the week before, even better. So we're on the move, guys, and thank you so much for that. If you'd like to catch me on Twitter, you can catch me at Michael Sifo, all one word, all lowercase, on Twitter and Instagram.
If you'd like to catch me on Twitter, it's at capital Neek the Dream. That's at Neek the Dream with a capital N. At Neek the Dream. If you want to see us on YouTube, Fan I Sports TV. That's Fan capital I Sports TV for various segments. Michael's Sober Thought platform that he's been doing, and different podcast segments.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to get back on the wagon for this week or next week on a very special topic for that show.
Yeah. By the way, I saw this guy. I forgot his name. It's something 2K. Mm-hmm. He kind of does a similar thing to what you were doing with he has the videos with the moving. He has his videos talking with the images flashing as he's talking, and he did some interesting ones on wheelchair related. I think his name is Rom2K. I'm not sure.
Ronnie?
Yeah, Ronnie 2K. Yeah. So
very familiar with his work.
Ronnie 2K. Very good, sound, thorough work. But of course, Mike's is better. So
yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. But you can catch the SoundCloud of the Fan I Sports. You can catch the Twitter of the Fan I Sports. And the Instagram, Fan I Sports, all one word, all lowercase. You can catch them on Facebook, Fan-I Sports. And where Fan I Sports is better than everything else, their Facebook is great, in my opinion. Also, their Instagram is pretty high quality stuff. You can catch their NBA videos. Anyway, Annikan, you were in Windsor, you were revitalized, energized, and whatever. I'm not going to sit here and rhyme. But you can also attest to this. You took in the Pacquiao vs. Vargas fight.
Yes.
What did you think about the fight?
Definitely, we saw kind of like a refreshed Pacquiao, or Pacquiao that we saw that same speed, power, the agility, that kind of mighty little samurai that he is, kind of having the strength, the combination of strength, power, quickness, and everything that he provides. It was a very good fight. Obviously, he didn't knock him out. It was a unanimous decision. He still hasn't. He failed to get his first knockout in the last 7 years. But at the end of the night, he said he was still pleased. And Floyd Mayweather was actually sitting ringside watching the fight. He was taking it in. And it was a very good fight. So with that, Pacquiao moves to 56-9-2. So 59-6-2, and he has 38.
Don't disrespect the man.
38 knockouts. No, I'm a Pacquiao supporter. So 38 knockouts on his career. So Yeah, it was a good fight. He won the fight. He's won his last few fights since the Mayweather fight, and yeah, he's still looking to that potential bout very soon.
Yeah, and I definitely will say this, that he scored a huge knockdown in round two. He really killed him in round three. Round four was all Pacquiao. By eighth, ninth round, then you saw the action start to settle down a little bit. Definitely Vargas got found his footing, but by that point it was way too late. And
Vargas had some success in the middle rounds around 4 and 5. We kind of saw him kind of utilize his abilities, but
I think late round was where Vargas really kind of showed his why he deserved this opportunity to face the legend that is Manny Pacquiao. He's very good at distance. When I guess in the later rounds he really found his groove. I think by that point it was way too late, and he didn't do enough to really convince the judges. Even the one judge who scored it 114 to 113, which was kind of disgraceful in my opinion. 114 to 113 is not indicative of how dominating the performance was by Manny Pacquiao. But
I mean, Floyd Mayweather. I mean, by the way, do you know the prize money he got? Like how much it was
for Floyd Mayweather?
No, for Pacquiao this fight.
For Pacquiao versus Vargas, I'm not sure. So usually, typically, what happens is they get the payment bonus for showing up, then they get the TV bonus for the TV numbers, not TV, pay-per-view bonus.
Yeah.
For the pay-per-view buys, they get a cut of that, and then they would get like, let's say, a fight bonus. And so with all of that, you would get the amount of the payout that Pacquiao gets. If you'd like, we can check that corrections and clarifications.
Yeah.
Obviously, Pacquiao's a main draw, so he's gonna get millions for doing this fight. Maybe one, maybe two. I don't know, but he's definitely getting a huge amount of money.
Purse.
Yeah, a huge purse. Obviously, the thing about it is it's a very, like, for example, that Mayweather fight. The Mayweather fight, he received in excess of $200 to $300 million, right? However,
Pacquiao actually got 150.
Yeah.
For that fight.
But 150, but he would have received a little more extra for the bonuses.
Okay.
Right.
But he had various debtors he had to pay back, so a lot of that went to other people. Bob Arum, his promotions, and various debtors. I think even in the Philippines,
he had back taxes,
philanthropic work. There were a lot of stuff he had to pay back.
Yeah. However, with that money,
he still walked away with a lot of money, even after he had to pay his various debtors. So
yeah, it was definitely
a good night.
Yeah,
good night
for
work.
Pacquiao. I mean, the whole thing is, and Stephen A. Smith, your boy, Stephen A. Smith.
Not
your boy.
Not anymore. I'm more a coward guy now.
Stop.
No.
He was interviewing Mayweather. Not Mayweather. He was interviewing Pacquiao. He definitely was. He called the fight. A lot of people criticized his calling of the fight. And listen, if you're getting a guy who doesn't typically do boxing and does a boxing fight for the first time, what are you really going to expect? And I think a lot of people don't get that. However, let's talk about this. He interviewed Pacquiao in the ring. He was asking Pacquiao a lot of questions, and a lot of questions were concerning Pacquiao's next fight. In your opinion, who should Pacquiao face next? Should he go with the Mayweather?
Yeah.
Or should he go with
I want to see the Mayweather, because to me Pacquiao demonstrates a lot of what somebody like Ronda Rousey doesn't demonstrate, is that temerity, the perseverance, the wanting to come back, the having that personal pride to not back out, to not take a year off, essentially, just because you lost a big fight that was magnified, it was celebrated, it was a media hype machine was behind it. He didn't back out. He still wants to fight Mayweather. And obviously he didn't get pounded the way that Rousey did, but still he lost. A loss is a loss.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, it's not going to be a loss, oh, but you got hit more. A loss, they're not going to be asterisks beside it. You lost. Mm-hmm. So that's what I've always liked about Pacquiao. I mean, the guy has, I think, 6 losses, and he still wants to keep fighting. Well, 6, outright losses. So for me, I definitely want to see that Mayweather one as his next fight. Obviously, Mayweather is sitting pretty. He has an excess of between $450 to $600 million as a net worth. So clearly he's doing fine, plus his various endorsements. That is still going high and strong for him. Just makes a lot of very questionable purchases, especially when you consider how much he has. Mm-hmm. But that's besides the point, I digress. But yeah, I definitely want to see the Mayweather fight. Pacquiao, obviously, for his legacy, for his for his country at this point and for himself wants that fight.
I think that if you really think about the first fight, Manny Pacquiao was talking a lot about his shoulder.
Yeah, his shoulder.
It was hurting
But it's
him.
funny, we didn't hear that till like after the fight, really.
Yeah, because when you're getting paid 150 million and you say,
hurt.
"Hey, my shoulder hurts," you might be losing out on that payday possibly forever.
Yeah.
Especially think about how long it took to even get this fight going in the first place, right?
Over 7 years.
So the Mayweather Pacquiao situation, the first time he hurt his shoulder, I don't know how legitimate that injury is. I wasn't there when Pacquiao hurt his shoulder, or if he hurt his shoulder, whatever. The point is that with Pacquiao, if he comes in healthy, like if he feels that he's healthy enough to get Mayweather, who by the way is retired, this could be an opportunity to get his loss back, you know? He can get a win back on Mayweather and get 1-1 and just to prove to himself as a man, because I think in terms of money, he's okay. But as a man, can he really beat Mayweather? And so I think that's cool. But there's another gentleman, and Stephen A. alluded to him.
Yeah.
Crawford, who is a up-and-comer. He fights at 140. He's a pretty sound fundamental boxer. Stephen A. Smith was asking him if you want to fight Crawford. The whole thing is this, and this is really important to mention. Technically speaking, Pacquiao is retired. So he doesn't have to fight anybody.
Yeah, but I'd still like to see, I mean, that Triple G, it seems, I mean, obviously we've talked about Triple G, Golovkin, like why a lot of people,
Golovkin.
Yeah, how people are, but I mean, how he's so big that Mayweather shouldn't go near him. Stephen A. Smith has said that ad nauseum on First Take and other platforms that he doesn't want to see Mayweather go anywhere near Triple G, that will just be, he's too big. Floyd Mayweather's the dodging expert. He's super, super quick, but he doesn't want to see him anywhere near Triple G. But to me, I still want to see that fight take place. I want to see the Pacquiao Part 2, Pacquiao the second take place. I don't even want to see Pacquiao fight him as well. I don't really see an issue with that fight happening as well. I mean, but yeah.
I think GGG usually typically fights at around 150, 160. Okay. I think it's probably a bad idea.
I mean,
to get up and wait.
But then we also saw this with McGregor and Diaz. McGregor went up. Obviously, he lost the first fight, but then he won the second one. I mean, albeit it was unanimous decision, not unanimous decision. I mean, it was a decision.
Yeah.
So, yeah, but I mean, I'd still like to see that just for the spectacle, just for the, and not from an analytical point of view.
I mean, it's a very out there
from
point.
A fighting purist point of view.
I mean, it's a very out there point. It's just that when you really think about it, see Amir Khan versus Canelo Alvarez. When someone has to go up in weight, they're at a disadvantage.
Yeah, because they're going out of their natural parameters. They're going out of their natural habitat to go and enter somebody else's domain.
Yeah,
to fight.
Even going down in weight's a bit of a disadvantage for the person going down because you're dehydrating yourself, so your conditioning's not up to snuff.
Yeah,
right. So whenever
in some way it's good for the person going down because you're able to move more freely. Because even when you're used to fighting at a weight, even when you go down, you notice quickness.
Yeah, but you notice
that you have more agility and that you can move. You're lighter on your feet.
But see, here's the thing, right? You usually fight at your when you fight at a weight class, you're fighting at your usually, right? This isn't like there's outliers like Roy Nelson in the MMA world and Shannon Briggs in the boxing world, but even he kind of has to stay there. But usually, typically, you're fighting at your optimal weight, and what that means is you're fighting at a weight that you move the best at, right? You move your best at X weight, typically. Manny Pacquiao is best at 147. GG is best at 160.
Yeah.
When you're going up in weight, or down in weight, you're moving out of that optimal weight zone.
Yeah.
Right. So I'd say it's a great point. I mean, the spectacle is great. I really haven't heard a lot of GGG. It's been a lot of Mayweather, or it's been a lot of Crawford. GGG is a great idea. However, I don't think honestly, I don't think it's a great idea considering the fact that GGG has the power to knock out cruiserweights, let alone guys fighting at 140. So the jury's still out on that. I would say that if Manny Pacquiao, honestly, he's allowed to retire. He said he was retired. He came back to fight this one. I would like to see a Mayweather fight if Manny Pacquiao is healthy and can go.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Anything you want to see on the Pacquiao stuff versus We didn't even talk about Jessie Vargas, who's a young up-and-comer. I just want to say for Vargas, no shame in losing to a legend like Manny Pacquiao and come back stronger because he was on a bit of a winning streak before he came into
because a lot of these recent fights are against up-and-coming fighters, so you can't expect these comparatively novices relative to who they're fighting against. Like, I mean, this is Pacquiao. Obviously, we know his history. This guy was fighting from a young age to feed his family in the Philippines, and this is somebody who literally fought to save his life, and to elevate his quality of life and have upward social mobility. So, I mean, and he's one of the greatest of all time. So, yeah, there's no shame in losing to him, especially as somebody who's in your 20s and you're coming up as a fighter.
Yeah, exactly. Definitely.
So,
let's move over to another combat sport, the UFC. They're having another big card. It seems like every once in a while they have these big cards. They're like fortnightly now. UFC 205 this week Saturday, November the 12th. The main event, McGregor v. Alvarez. The co-main event, Woolley v.
Not Canelo Alvarez.
Yeah, sorry. Not Canelo Alvarez, the other Alvarez, as they call him. I'm kidding. It's Eddie Alvarez. I put money on him to beat Dos Anjos, and he came through for me. So, good on him. But anyway.
Gonna lose money this weekend.
I don't know about that. McGregor v. Alvarez. Woolley v. Thompson. You got a bunch of great side main events. The Eagle, Khabib Nurmagomedov, is facing off against Michael Johnson. I expect that to be a rout. No offense to Michael Johnson. He's fast. He's a very quick lightweight, but not Khabib is definitely a different animal in that respect. Let's start with the Woolley versus Thompson fight. Who do you have winning this and why?
With the McGregor or
Woolley versus Thompson?
I think I'm gonna pick Thompson.
I think we've talked about this before.
Yeah.
I think this is one of the first times that Thompson, Rory McDonald's a great wrestler, but he's not Woolley-like wrestling, where it's someone who's constantly on you, who's a bruiser, has that knockout power. I think McDonald, if you really think about it, I think McDonald's a better fighter than Woolley. Yeah. I think Rory McDonald's is probably he's second best fighter in the world at that weight class. Who's just had a couple bad breaks, but McDonald is not like Woolley in the sense that Woolley will eat punches. He will go after you. McDonald can take punches, but he gets pushed back. Right. So I think that Woolley will make Thompson definitely work. Thompson will definitely have to work and earn that victory, and it's not going to be the whole the blueprint for seeing a Thompson fight is. Thompson will hit you in the first round. By round 3, the fighter who he's facing wants nothing to do with him. Nothing. I don't think he's going to get that here. I think he's going to get a very hungry and a very forward-thinking Woolley, and that's why I'm going to give it to Woolley. However, I really like your perspective in the sense that Thompson will keep him at bay.
Yeah.
Let's move over to the McGregor fight, then we'll go to the women here. McGregor versus Alvarez. Who you got?
McGregor, I'm just going to go with McGregor because of familiarity. I've seen him fight on multiple occasions. I feel that McGregor, I've expressed kind of discontent at his fighting style in the sense that I don't like how he comes out the gate very strong, a lot of energy, a lot of enthusiasm, a lot of activity and involvement in the fight. But then as the fight kind of declines in the later stages, he becomes very tired. I'm not going to say my usual go-to words of lethargic and apathetic, but I think he just wears out.
Yeah, and that's I don't think it's a question of effort.
It's not lethargy and apathy, and
it's not a question of effort.
And just lackadaisicalness and just kind of modern behavior traits. But no, it's something more of just he wears out. The stamina isn't there, the endurance, he lacks that, and I feel that he needs to kind of increase his career and his longevity. He has to find a way to kind of fight intense the whole fight, or just fight the same way the whole fight. Mm-hmm. Because what you have to do is that you cannot, as a fighter, you're not just fighting the person. At times you're fighting yourself. And mentally, what am I going to do? You're fighting in your mind between what kind of method am I going to employ here? What kind of method am I going to employ there? What kind of tactics am I going to utilize to my advantage to win this fight? You're you're constantly battling yourself mentally, and as we know with any sport, it's the mental aspect, the mental part, the mental facet of the game, or in this case, the ring. So yeah, with McGregor, I would pick him just because of familiarity and not. I mean, there's a saying, familiarity breeds contempt, but for me, familiarity breeds reliability. So I'm gonna pick McGregor.
I'm gonna go with Alvarez. I think. Listen, McGregor fights at 145. Eddie Alvarez fights at 155. Again, we talk about optimal weight. The optimal weight for Alvarez is 155. So already McGregor's at a disadvantage.
All right.
Alright.
Well, I mean, he's already beaten somebody at 170. So
I get it, but remember, and even if you really think about it, Nate fights at 155 better than 170. I know he can do both. He's one of the few fighters he's a zombie. Let's be honest.
Yeah, he's a workhorse.
He's one of the few fighters who can do both. But if you ask me, if you were to put me into a corner, I say Diaz is a better 155er than he is a 170.
Well,
so they're both fighting at 9.
Then again, that even speaks more because then they're at the same. He's at the same weight as this Alvarez guy.
But my point is this, and Alvarez, we talk about clutch gene, and if it's real, if it's not real, what about clutch gene?
Skip Bayless.
Alvarez is a very, and I've said it before, he's like a Paul Pierce of the MMA world. He's not necessarily the best on any given year. He's not necessarily your greatest fighter of all time. However, on any given year, he's a top 5 fighter in his division. And when the chips are down, when you need a bucket, when you need a win, he provides you with that. See Rafael Dos Anjos. See his Bellator career. Even during Bully Beatdown, when he needs to beat down some bullies. I'm kidding, obviously. But, he provides you with wins when you need wins. And I think that with Eddie Alvarez, it's not just like he's clutch and whatever, and he's the underdog who wins when you need him to win. He's a legitimate kickboxer. His ground game is good. His wrestling is fantastic. I think that Eddie Alvarez is going to pull out the victory here versus Conor McGregor. I think and you know what, to be honest, the hype train on Conor McGregor is a little bit...
Oh no, I'm not going off the hype train. I'm just going off what I've at least seen him do in fights. Like, I'm not going off the hype train that maybe ESPN or some other outlet, like, oh, let's find... I mean, we don't, because those are outlets that don't really follow UFC. Mm-hmm. They can have so-called analysis all they want. They don't follow the sport. So, to the level that Fox and other outlets do. And I think it started from people like them, like mainstream sports outlets who said, oh, UFC is beating out our usual mainstay boxing. Let's follow that. And then in following that, let's latch on to their biggest stars. And I think that's what happened. That's why this McGregor thing, and I think the Niaz helped to elevate that hype machine, but that's where it started from.
Yeah. Let's move over to the...
but you're saying something about the hype train about...
No, I was going to say the hype train on McGregor's a little bit overwhelming. It's a little... I don't want to say that McGregor is all hype. That's not what I'm trying to say at all. But I think that we have to remember this is a 145er who fights at 145 and is good at 145. To fight the champion at 155 is a stretch. It is a stretch. He might be able to knock him out. He might very well be able to, but it is a stretch, especially with the chin that Eddie Alvarez has. Anyway, let's move over to the undercard here. And there's 2 fights I want to talk about. There's the Yoel Romero. Yoel Romero obviously got in trouble for doping. He was able to get a reduction for doping. He's coming back for his first fight since, facing Chris Weidman. Michael Bisping has been very vocal on not giving Yoel Romero a title shot because he got busted for steroids. That's his words, not mine. However you want to take it, whatever place you want to say about Yoel Romero, that's it. And we also have Yoel Romero versus Chris Weidman. We also have my girl, Joanna Jędrzejczyk. She's not my girl, but you get what I'm trying to say. She, in my opinion, when Ronda Rousey was big time Ronda Rousey, I was like, you got to look for this girl, Joanna Jędrzejczyk. Facing up against Carolina Kowalkiewicz. In your opinion, the underdog is in the Romero versus Weidman fight. It's Romero as the underdog, Weidman as the favorite. In the Jędrzejczyk, where Jędrzejczyk is the champion, obviously, versus Kowalkiewicz. Kowalkiewicz is the underdog in that fight. Mm-hmm. Looking at both fights, who is, in your opinion, gonna pull off the upset? Is it Romero or is it Kowalewicz?
But like from what I've seen, I'd probably go with Romero.
I really like Romero as well. I don't think Romero is a bad fighter at all. I think Romero has the potential to be a champion. I think Romero is very good, very powerful, has a lot of knockout power, and is a great grappler. You just wonder whether he's clean or not. I mean, that guy is so big. You know, you just wonder, is he clean or not? That's it. It's the only thing is he's facing a very good wrestler and grappler in his own right in Weidman, so that's the issue you have here. Is Weidman going to have his head on straight? If he has his head on straight, I don't see Romero pulling it out against Weidman. However, if Weidman is able to come in with a clean mind and come in ready to perform, I think Weidman's going to win. To be honest, I don't really have much faith in Carolina to win against Hispanic. I don't have that much faith in Carolina to pull it off there. So I'm gonna actually agree with you and go with Romero. Any fight you want to talk about on this card before we shift focus to the NBA?
No, that's good.
Okay, just want to shout out Miesha Tate's fighting again on this card. She's facing Raquel Pennington.
Yeah, I actually saw a very thought-provoking, very well-spoken interview by Miesha Tate on Colin Cowherd. And
I really think she has to be careful because I saw that interview too.
Yeah.
And she was very disparaging without being... there's two types of disparagings. There's one when you're yelling and you're just talking trash about
and
someone.
then there's the one that's subtle.
And there's the one that's subtle and you're basically calling the person across from you a piece of crap. And that's the way she took it. She took it the second way. And I think she's got to be very careful.
What, in regards to
her opponent, Raquel Pennington.
Yeah, she talked about Rousey, she talked about kind of like her mentality, and I just thought, she's very level-headed and serene.
But she's also very disparaging. And she's got to be careful here because it wasn't too long ago that she lost in round one.
Lost to Nunez.
Yeah, to Amanda Nunez after getting her nose blown apart in 1,000 pieces.
Yeah, and that's who Rousey's facing.
Right,
Go
exactly.
figure.
So I'd advise Miesha Tate to be very careful because Raquel Pennington can fight. I know,
but Cyborg, awaiting in the loops is Cyborg. Cyborg is like the triple G for the women. Mm-hmm. Like everybody, it's kind of like this mythical, gigantic creature that everyone is done. Like, I don't know where the Cyborg factor in all of this.
Well, I think that the whole thing with Cyborg is, and this is the last part before we move on to your boys, the Golden State Warriors.
No.
But the whole thing is that Cyborg fights at 145. Her optimal weight, if you were to ask people, is not even 145. Her optimal weight, if you were to ask people, is 155. If you were to ask people,
scary.
Right? And so here's the problem, right? You're fighting a girl who essentially likes to be 170 pounds to fight. People would say, hey, you can fight better at 155. But for the purposes of the mixed martial arts world, because we don't have a 155 division, you need to fight at 145. And she's shredded, like absolutely shredded, which means she cannot go down to 135 at all. Which means someone has to go to 145.
Oh, like she's not physically capable?
I don't think so. People have said, oh, she can do the 140 catch weight. I've seen her do the 140 catch weight.
Talk about throwing shots. Like, this girl she hasn't thrown shots. Like, she's shot semi-automatic rifles.
Yeah.
Like, she's actually, like, gotten tanks and, like, blown up, like, military bases. Like, that's what she's done.
Oh, no, I think... But you know what the thing is? I think she's talking from a place of comfort because she knows that she's like, sorry to cut you off. Yeah.
She's like the guy in Rocky 4 when the guy that killed Apollo Creed. She's basically that.
She's Drago. Yeah, she's Drago. Right? The scary creature that no one wants to face because they have to move. There's so many disadvantages to fighting Cyborg from a fight stance. You have to move up in weight. You have to deal with her power. She doesn't even fight 145. She fights 155 if you were to ask people. I know she made her career in 145, but the whole idea is she's actually like...
Her prime, like her ideal weight is 155.
Exactly. So it's such a disadvantage for anyone to face Cyborg. So here's her waiting in the looms. I think that the idea is a lot of people are going to keep that Cyborg thing, or at the very least, keep it very, very... at the back burner of everyone's minds, and when people, and like let's say Rousey or Holm or give me a name here. Shevchenko,
or
Tate want to use that super fight moniker there, they can do that. But it's got to be for a lot of money, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, let's move over to the NBA.
Well, we all know the UFC has issues with a lot of money paying out.
Yeah. Let's move over to the world of the NBA, and and after 2 weeks, the Golden State Warriors record is 4-2. The apocalypse is upon us. Annikan is to my left, grinning ear to ear like a chest ear cat.
Yes, I'm very happy because it just speaks to everything that any smart basketball analyst knows.
They don't have any rim protection. I think it's not what's the word? It's not rocket science to comprehend.
Yeah, to me it's surprising why this has become such a revelation to people at this point in the season. I'm like, it doesn't matter.
We were saying it from day one
I was saying it.
No, we were saying it because remember when they got rid of Bogut, we were right here.
Okay, yes.
We were right here when they got rid of Bogut and Azili, saying they're gonna miss Bogut, and we got into an argument of who's a better rim protector.
Yeah, and like the thing, like anybody who's played like organized basketball at any level, I mean, pee-wee or like junior high school, middle school, high school, college, at any level, even your YMCA recreational Thursday league, if that still exists. I know I played in that.
Yeah.
But if that still exists, I mean, if you played at any level of basketball, you know that too much perimeter. I mean, they have no rim protector. You have no Bogut, Azili, Spates. They're all gone.
West is there.
Yeah, who looks like a smaller Spates.
Yeah.
I mean, you have Azili that went to Portland. You have Bogut, who's in Dallas, and Spates is in...
no clue. Corrections and clarification.
Yeah, I saw Spates play a couple weeks ago, so I know he's somewhere. We're just gonna figure out, like, he's not missing from the planet, people.
Yeah.
But
is he anyway? But
what I'm trying to say is that there's anybody who knows basketball from a foundational principle level, you know, there's three things: the downsides of perimeter shooting, it hurts you in rebounding. And from that first opening night game from the San Antonio Spurs, that's going to be my reference point. That's kind of be like my go-to as a kind of like a case study throughout the year. October 25th, Spurs, Kawhi Leonard exploded for 35. The Spurs beat the Warriors 129 to 100. 55 rebounds to 35. 21 offensive rebounds for the Spurs to 8 for the Warriors. 12 from 24 from 3 for a team that doesn't even rely on the 3 overtly. The Warriors, who that's like their MO, that's like kind of what their mainstay, what they've made their whole identity on, it seems like. 7 and 33. 7 for 33.
Yeah.
Durant shot 38%. Yeah. Curry was abysmal. Thompson was nowhere to be found. And then 23 to 26 from for free throws for the Spurs, 13 for 18 for the Warriors. Both good percentages. Obviously, the Spurs were better, more attempts, more makes. So, I mean, they have no rim protection. They're small. They're thin at big. I mean,
and the thing about it too is Zaza Pachulia. I think they were banking on Zaza Pachulia to get them those offensive rebounds.
I mean,
but the thing about him is he's not a rim protector.
He's not a rim protector. He's just he gets rebounds. He can get you maybe around 10.
Around 10.
And it's usually defensive rebounds. Mm-hmm. Offensive rebounds. I mean, this is where you wish you had Tristan Thompson. This guy doesn't get offensive rebounds. I mean,
so it's one shot and that's it.
Yeah, one shot and that's it. And like, I mean, like look at this. Like, look at somebody like Dirk Nowitzki and Karl Malone. I mean, in the historical annals of the NBA, they're around the same place. Karl Malone's maybe a little higher because of points, although Dirk Nowitzki won a title, so it kind of evens out. So, I mean, Karl Malone, the reason why Dirk Nowitzki doesn't have nearly the rebounds as Karl Malone is because he's shooting from 22 feet. He's doing fall away one-legged jumpers. That's why he doesn't have as many rebounds, because he's a 7-footer. He's bigger than Karl Malone, but he's fading away, shooting contested jump shots for 85% of his career. Mm-hmm. I can't even remember where I've ever seen Dirk Nowitzki post up when it wasn't to fall back and shoot. Mm-hmm. Like, he doesn't do up and unders. He doesn't have the post game of a Diamond Stone or a Hakeem Olajuwon.
Did you really compare a Hall of Famer?
Okay, I'm talking about post game. Post game. So what I'm trying to say, I can't believe
you just did that. Anyway,
post game. So what I'm trying to say with that, what I'm trying to espouse that you need people around the rim. Higher percentage shot. I mean, LeBron, when he drives to the basket, he shoots 55%. Durant taking threes is shooting 38%. So it's about driving to the basket. That's the thing. The layup and the dunk, although it seems to be frowned upon in today's NBA, is still a high percentage shot. It always has been, it always will be. That's why it's called Air Jordan, not jump from the three Jordan. Because they realize that it's graceful and it works. It gets you points, and at the very least, you'll get sent to the free throw line.
Yeah.
So
I definitely
the Warriors need to. I mean, I don't know, but that's just what basketball is.
Yeah.
And that's how it was won in the 80s, 90s, and most of the 2000s. You win in the just like we say with football, you win in the trenches. Basketball, you win at the free throw line. Definitely. And 9 times out of 10, you're getting fouled at the basket.
Yeah, definitely. I think that with all this being said, I think defensively their issues are much more glaring than offensively. I think offensively they're okay. Like you can't have a team with Curry, Klay Thompson, and Durant and not be okay offensively.
Right.
It's just defensively they are a bit of a horror show. Right. And this is the point.
Which is what they supposedly, which I never really bought into. They were number 1 in team defense 2 years ago.
Yeah, and because they had rim protection.
But I
because
really
they had rim protection.
But it was really they weren't number 1. Bogut was number 1. Azili was number 1.
Yeah, you know what? Draymond Green and Klay Thompson were good defenders.
Maybe Thompson and Green, but nobody else on that team.
And Curry could.
And Iguodala.
And Curry and Iguodala could steal the ball when you needed them.
Curry, no. I'm sorry.
You can't lead this. You can't lead. And this is the whole thing where I try to tell people. You cannot lead the league in steals and not be a good defender.
No, some people. I mean, steals a lot of times it could be the ball. It was just a bad pass. Sometimes you could be actively playing the passing lane. Other times it could just be, the offensive player was just dumb and you would be dumb.
Is Westbrook a good defender?
Yeah.
Okay, he leads the league in steals.
But Westbrook, I see him playing active defense. He's in a triple threat position. He has his hands out. Curry is just kind of free. Curry's more of a freelancer who, when the ball is in his vicinity or it's in close proximity to him, he can get the ball. But he's not somebody who I'm going to say is actively playing defense. Chris Paul, Iverson, Westbrook, those guys are guys who more you can say are better defensive players because they've led the league in steals more than once and they look like they want to take the ball from you. But Curry is just somebody who happens to be in the right place, or the guy who's usually he's guarding is not nearly as offensively talented as he, so it creates situations in which he can take the ball away. But there's a difference between getting steals based on offensive negligence as opposed to actually wanting to play defense and being in position to get steals.
Listen, I think there's a bias here. I think there's a bias here.
And also the thing is, like, the Warriors as presently constructed is like a person, because the Warriors basically just added more of what they already had. They had the greatest shooting backcourt in NBA history. And then they just added now a front court player who does that. So that's essentially like a person who graduates from university who has a degree. You have all the theory, but now you go to get a job and they say you need more practical skills. You need to get a college diploma. But yet they go and get another university degree. They just go and get more theory. That's essentially what the Warriors are. They're university students who can't find a job, that instead of going to get college actual hands-on work experience, they went to go get another theoretical law degree. That's basically what, like, you understand the analogy, right?
No, I get it. I just think there's inherent bias here.
So that's basically they're just getting more theory. They're not doing anything to help themselves get in the work. They're just getting more theory, more shooting, and it's not doing anything for them.
I think there's worse. I think there's a point to what you said, but you can't lead the league. You can't win the championship 2 years ago, break a record for wins and go to the finals and lose, and then this year have 3 of the top 10 players in your league, and say these guys are juke. They can't play. That's not it at all. I just think that and say one of them who led the league in steals 2 years ago and possibly the year before, I can't remember, get the clarifications on that, is not a good defender. I'm not buying it. you can't say that the team.
He's not a good defender.
You can't say that the
Curry
team
is not a good defender.
You know, like who was it? B-Ball Breakdown went on a whole, let's say, 10 minutes on why Curry is a good defender. And
Coach Nick. I mean, Coach Nick is a guy who, honestly, I like Coach Nick, what he has to say. I liked his Allen Iverson Hall of Fame breakdown. I liked
because it was a bias. You like Allen Iverson, you don't like Steph Curry. So when he says Steph Curry's good, you're like, oh no.
What if Iverson said Steph Curry's not good?
No, I'm just saying when Steph Curry's a good defender, you're like, oh no, Steph Curry's not a good defender.
He's a great offensive player who uses the dumbed down leagues of today to work to his advantage. I mean. If the system allows you to do something, you'd be stupid not to use it.
Understandable.
Like you have to. Like if York today says that, tuition is going down, I don't think we're going to see a protest at Berry Hall for people saying raise tuition, raise tuition. I mean, when the system puts something in your favor, you're gonna work within it if it's gonna help you. So I mean, I just don't understand all of this. Like Curry's I've always said he's a great shooter, and I can't deny that. He deserved to win MVP just on accolades alone, and on most records, most wins in the history of the league. I mean, come on, a 69-year league. I mean, wow, that's amazing. Or 70 this season, but I mean. He's not a good defender. That's just a fact.
They went on B-Ball Breakdown and Coach Nick went on a whole 10 minutes about why he is
Coach Nick is on drugs, low-key.
Oh my goodness.
Coach Nick, I feel some weeks he gets up on Monday morning and he just in a bad state of mind and then just goes on to lambaste certain people and then elevate others. I think that guy just needs to really... Great guy. I mean, I like the work that... I like his comprehensive breakdowns. I mean, by the way, check out the one he did about Shaq versus Olajuwon Christmas '95. That's a very good one. You should check that out.
I remember one he did on Walton and versus the 76ers in the championship.
Okay, I have to see that.
That was pretty good too. Anyway, guys, we're gonna have to.
But yeah, Warriors, they're a lesser version of themselves right now, and 4-2. Last year they started 24-0, 4-2 already.
That's something I guess we can both agree on.
They're thin at big. They're thin at big and no rim protection. And yeah, they're suffering and rebounding.
All right. Anyway, we're gonna take the break. When we come back, we're gonna get into the rundown. Welcome back to the Sports Misfits. I'm your host, Michael Sifo. Here's my co-host, Annikan Kutiang. Annikan, are you ready for the rundown?
Let's do it.
Okay, so first question. The Toronto FC, TFC, they played the last two Sundays versus NYC in the playoffs. In their two legs, they beat them on aggregate by a combined 7-0, 2-0 first game, 5-0 yesterday. From the time we recorded this, they're going to face the Montreal Impact. That's the rub here. In the Eastern Conference Finals, you got an All-Canada Eastern Conference Final in the MLS.
Yeah,
pretty big feat. It's crazy.
Toronto and Montreal Impact.
Yeah. Who do you think wins this contest in this two-leg versus?
Honestly, I'm going to have to probably go with Montreal because just kind of length of their great run. This started from last season and it's continued into this year, obviously. And the scary thing is that this has happened within a reduced role for Didier Drogba. And to me, what's really special about that is that Drogba is somebody for the last 12 years. If his name cannot roll off your tongue, cannot not roll off your tongue if you're a soccer fan. In the last 12 years, I would say he'd be in most people's top 10 in the last decade.
Definitely.
Yeah, top 10, maybe even top 5.
A lot of that Chelsea team from let's say circa 04 to circa 08 would be in that conversation.
Yeah, exactly. Anelka. Yes, Anelka. Lampard, obviously.
Anelka to me is your Curry. Great player, just I don't see it, man. I really don't see it.
Anelka, no. I mean, obviously he did a lot of, conduct detrimental to team unity in 2010 South Africa World Cup, but I mean, other than that club career, he's among the best.
You just look at his stats, you wouldn't think so. Trust me. He had one good year, and he just coasted after that one good year. I'm telling you, he's really not that. Anyway, let's focus back on.
Anyway, so what I'm saying is like, yeah, what makes Montreal very dangerous is a lot of what they did. I mean, look at this guy they just inserted, Mancosu, this Italian who's really been a journeyman throughout his career. Spent most of his career in the Italian lower leagues. Somebody who, I mean, he's had a very strange career. He's been in the Italian league lower leagues, is now making his insurgence in his 30s, now is making some impact. I mean, to replace somebody in Drogba who had 11 goals last year, 10 goals this year with 6 assists is quite a feat. And the thing is with Drogba is like he's a generation-changing player, and it all goes back to that saying, you know, the old saying, the first shall be the last and the last shall be the first. We saw it with Whiteside, we saw it with Jeremy Lin, guys who it seems like their path was done. Jeremy Lin did it to the biggest stage. New York Knicks had the most points in his first 4 career starts in NBA history. Hassan Whiteside, most blocks in a game in NBA history. Did it against the Chicago Bulls January 25th, 2015. And so yeah, it just speaks to these kinds of anomalies and aberrations we see regularly in sports, is that you have guys who are seemingly done, who are seemingly they're going nowhere, they're going to be just a role player or a marginal player to even stay in a top flight league, and they get to this kind of place. And Mancuso, I mean, he had 2 goals against DC. He had 1 goal in the semifinal stages. Yeah, semifinal stage.
No, the PID.
Knockout stages.
Yeah, knockout stages. He had
2 goals.
He had 2 goals in the
Yeah.
he had 1 goal in the
first leg.
And then PID had both goals in the...
Yes, and then he had a previous goal. So he's had 3 goals in very recent memory.
Yeah.
And to replace Drogba, I mean, Drogba is obviously, he wasn't happy. He said he wasn't going to, he'd been training, but he said he wouldn't play if he couldn't have a starting role.
And then, surprise, he ends up playing on the bench.
Because he wants to win. And to me, like, for all of this success to happen in spite of them not having Drogba, who's been their top player the last 2 years, it's amazing. And I'm very scared for Toronto. Obviously, I was very glad to see yesterday Josie Altidore score a goal. He scored a goal in the 29th minute. Jovinko had 3 goals. One was a penalty in the 17th. One in the 5th minute.
Yeah, Josie Altidore has been hot. So I want to go with TFC on this one.
But I'm going with Montreal.
Yeah. I'm going to go with TFC on this one. I think offensively they are really clicking right now.
Yeah, they are.
Even Toussaint Ricketts, who comes out to the bench, who comes in as a sub, is like going to be a future all-star at some point. Offensively, they're really good. And this is the thing that I think everyone should stress on this. Defensively, they are shutting people down. They're shutting people down defensively, and no one's giving them credit for it.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I mean, Toronto, I'm really surprised
they're very complete
that Toronto's even at this point. But I'm going to have to go with Montreal. They've had a longer sustained run. They have one of the best players who, I mean, Drogba, I don't know, Drogba has found a fountain of youth, and it's just running. It hasn't stopped running. It hasn't run dry for him, and I'm going to have to go with Montreal. And it's funny, it was really good. I mean, it's really interesting to see a lot of, like, that New York FC team from yesterday just shows a lot of what is this trend I think that David Beckham started. All these Europeans who've come over. There's David Villa on that team. There's, who else? There's another, I'm trying to remember. There are a couple other European guys.
Lampard's on the team.
Yeah, Lampard's on the team. Andrea Pirlo, De Villa, Lampard. All these guys who are like stars in their respective European countries, and this wave of them coming to the North American ranks. But yeah, I'm going with Montreal.
I'm going to go with TFC. I think they're very complete right now. Next question.
They have momentum, though. Momentum is a scary thing.
So does TFC. They beat a team for 5-0.
Yeah, of course. But I'm just saying Montreal, the length, and they've been more consistent.
Trust me, you're not convincing me on this. TFC's going to win.
Montreal.
Okay. Next question. The Heisman.
And I can never root against Drogba. I can't.
Next question. So we got the...
Oh, easy. Lamar Jackson.
Yeah, okay. I was going to say, the Heisman.
Lamar
who's
Jackson.
winning it?
Lamar Jackson.
Definitely agree with that. We're done? That next question?
Yeah.
Lamar Jackson. Okay.
When Louisville basketball can't keep themselves clean, Louisville football can.
Oh, yeah. Listen, Lamar Jackson is the truth. This is a quick one. were we wrong on Minnesota? Actually, you know what? I think I've been saying for the longest time I don't know if Minnesota's real. So I'm gonna take myself out of that.
Yeah,
region.
but I've never really believed in Minnesota's youth movement. I think it's. I mean, people think that the Lakers are trying to mirror what they're doing, but I feel the Lakers is more destined for long-term success.
Offensively, I don't know. I think defensively they definitely took a step back in these recent weeks.
I think Towns is, again, the same thing like people are doing with McGregor in the UFC world. I think Towns is really just overhyped.
He's a good player.
He's a good player, but to me, even like if Diamond Stone's on the court, he can shut down Towns. Like to me, and Diamond Stone hasn't seen a minute. Deontay Davis, somebody who was picked 31st. He was picked by Boston. They immediately.
We should preface by saying Minnesota
Timberwolves.
Just making sure.
Well, I mean, once we start talking basketball, it becomes pretty obvious.
You gotta make sure because people might think the Vikings. They're also on a 3-game losing streak, so they might, Anyway, we're talking about the Minnesota Timberwolves. So far, they're not.
So I mean, I'm telling you, like Towns is a great player, but even that game last week, albeit it was a blowout, that was their last win against the Memphis Grizzlies. Deontay Davis, I'm not sure if you saw that game. I watched it. Deontay Davis made Towns look silly. Like, this is a guy who was picked 31st. Somebody who was supposed to be in most mock draft boards prior to the draft was projected to go top 10. This guy fell all the way to 31st, and yet he still has more points already in his rookie campaign than Denzel Valentine. Like, Deontay Davis made Towns look silly. Diamond Stone, there are a lot of guys, I think even in this last draft, that was a very strong draft. I'm sure you would agree.
I mean, here's the thing about Towns, he's a good player. He's averaging 22.
But I think guys are better than him. Like he's
averaging 22.
He's good offensively, but he doesn't have the complete game.
Right? You have to be a willing defender. I think sometimes it's an issue of effort. And sometimes you just have to be a willing defender. Is he a willing defender? To be honest, I don't know.
And Wiggins, that's the one thing I like about Wiggins over him. Is that Wiggins
is definitely a willing defender.
Yeah, he's a willing defender. He gets down. But I think even still, I like players from this last draft and the one that's coming. This one that's coming is going to be scary. This 2017 draft class. Yeah. But I really think that, with Towns.
I think the whole thing.
Sorry
about that to cut you off. I think the whole thing, the reason why a lot of people were really looking for a good season was because Thibodeau is coaching.
Yeah.
And they were expecting, Thibodeau
an
to guide
instant
these
transformation.
kids.
Yeah.
It's early, but I think that a lot of people were thinking that Thibodeau was going to come in there and really change the mindset of these children here. And to be honest, they got blown out in their last game. They've recently just had a bad stretch. They're 1-4, and they need to figure it out. They're bleeding here in a very strong West. They're bleeding. They've lost 3 of their last 4. So anyway. My point is that I think that Thibodeau coming in there everyone was expecting this just step forward.
Instant transformation, but it hasn't happened.
It hasn't happened.
It's a process, and you have to respect the process. So.
No, I'm definitely.
It's a process. Like there are a lot of people in sports. There are a lot of people who are outcome people, but there are not a lot of process people. When the outcome happens, when the Warriors win, let's be Warriors fans, but let's not watch the previous 8 years with guys like Corey Maggette, Steven Jackson, Kalena Azaguki when they were rebuilding. They're all about the outcome. Nobody remembers that 08-09 Warriors team. People like me and you do because we follow sports. And nobody remembers even the 06-07 Warrior team that
Baron Davis?
Yeah, Baron Davis, Steven Jackson, these same guys that beat a 67-win team in Dallas.
And then the memory that's etched in everyone's mind.
Baron Davis.
When Baron Davis comes down the lane
and dunks over AK-47. That was like when the NBA that time was just something. But people are not process people. They're only outcome people. So you have to really, the outcome is great, but let's go through a grueling process first.
Yeah, and I think Minnesota, they will be good, but right now they're still going through the process.
Yeah. But I would still go with the Lakers. I like the Lakers. I like Julius Randle.
I think the Lakers have the potential to make the playoffs.
I think they do too. I don't know why so many people have written them off till 2-3 years time.
I think that,
and they have a similar.
I think a lot of
record is
people were
cool.
reading way too much into the whole D'Angelo Russell, Nick Young situation.
Yeah.
It's bad, but I
Like,
don't think. But
seriously,
when people want to win games, people
realistically you can get over that in 2 days. Like that is not a franchise.
I mean,
issue.
that's somebody's wife though that left her because of situations,
Right.
circumstances. So it's a little different. But
It's a little different, but as far as team, remember, divisiveness and distraction. What usually divides teams is sports issues, not somebody's personal issue.
Yeah, definitely, 100%. If your team's losing, that becomes an issue.
Yeah.
If your team is playing well and clicking, even though losses, that's a non-factor.
Right.
Anyway, let's go to the corrections and clarifications. Okay, so the first mistake was not knowing where Maurice Spates plays, and we find out that Maurice Spates actually plays for the LA Clippers, which is amazingly weird because I was just watching them. I should
Yeah, I
come
haven't
pick
seen
it up.
them this season.
Yeah.
I was thinking Philly, but I was like, no, he's been there before.
Okay, so I got the Manny Pacquiao earnings, and so with the
What-
Manny
what did you
Pacquiao
find?
earnings, Bleacher Report did a nice breakdown. He will get a guaranteed $4 million. So it wasn't amazing,
Yeah, I knew it was because this is a very low key fight.
right? But I will say this, that again, remember the bonuses, they haven't come in yet. Anyway, Annikan, thanks for doing the show.
Another great show.
Definitely come look us up on iTunes and SoundCloud. Remember
And
to
Twitter,
do so.
follow us
Twitter.
individually and the collective show page at Sports Misfits, and go with us on this journey.